Hi everyone, Nick Kretikos of Nick's Seasonal Decor, and today I'm going to show you how to make 4 different beautiful patriotic bows. So we're going to start with this 2.5 inch red pickup truck and USA flag ribbon. This is a 2.5 inch ribbon and we cut them 28 inches long. So I cut 5 pieces and already dovetailed them so it's nice and easy when it comes time to constructing these bows. So this bow technique is one of the easiest and it's one of the best to use your leftover ribbons. So if you only have a couple yards of a ribbon, this is the perfect technique. So what we did is we pinched down about 4 or 5 inches, and what we're going to do is come back in with each of those pieces, alternating the angles. The reason we alternate them is so that when it comes time to fluffing, it's a lot easier. So all it takes is 5 pieces, and when you cut them in advance, it's a lot easier to make sure they're even. But truth be told, I kind of like them to be irregular. I think it gives a nice look with your bow. So don't focus too much attention on getting them perfect. So now I'm just coming back in with a red pipe cleaner. You can find all of the products available at nicksseasonaldecor.com. And this is one of the most important steps. This is fluffing. So another important step is making sure your pipe cleaner is secured, or else, your entire bow will fall out. So what I do here is I just pull apart the loops, pull apart the tails, make sure everything's facing upright, and then giving it a good fluff. So I only use wired ribbon in my artificial designs because ribbons always need to be repositioned, and for my customers it's a lot easier for them to work with wired ribbon. So that's the finished bow. It's one of my favorites and I do think that ribbon's cute. I'm just kind of bending those tails inwards to give it a little bit more depth and create kind of a spidery looking bow. So the next bow is this really fun print, and this is a ribbon Dad chose, and it has lots of detail, lots of little sayings. So it is a busy ribbon, but we're going to keep it nice and simple today, and not pair this bow up with, or this ribbon up with anything else. So here I am cutting my tails, and I emphasized the fact that it's not going to be perfect. I cut them all different lengths, and I think we ended up cutting 4 pieces, ranging anywhere from 16 to 18 inches all the way up to 32 inches. It does not have to be exact, and for this bow, I encourage you cut them all different lengths, and even within the loops. See how the loop is much shorter up top? It just creates a better illusion. So all I'm doing is I'm just layering my ribbon, creating the loop towards the surface. That's what's different about this bow, is that all of the tails cascade down below the bow, and none of them are facing upwards. And coming back in with our final 2 pieces, I really like this ribbon, which usually it's not the type of ribbon I would choose. So I think Dad did a great job picking something a little bit more fun. So these bows work for anything patriotic. If you live in the United States, if you have any members of your family that were in the military, whether active or retired, these bows really make great gifts. So just fluff those tails out and you have a great looking bow. Look at how pretty that looks. So our next bow is going to require just a little bit of leftover ribbon. Here we have this 1.5 inch plaid, and what we're going to do is cut a length of tails. I cut them about 16 to 18 inches, and I actually ran out of ribbon for this bow, but it goes to show you still can create something really pretty. So we're doing 3 long loops on each side, I believe, and we're cutting them or making them about 5 inches long. And you don't have to be super precise, but for a bow technique like this, I do want to make them a little bit more even since there's so few loops that if one is way off, it'll definitely be noticeable. So now coming back in with our third on each side, and this ribbon is wired as well, and what's really nice about working with 1.5 inch ribbon is that the possibilities are truly endless, because this size is a lot more appropriate for a lot more designs. So that's the end of the ribbon. What I'm going to do is just cut a little length off and then create our button loop. So this button loop hides our pipe cleaner and adds a nice finishing touch right in the middle of the bow. So then just take your tails again after you fluff it out a little bit and place them behind the bow, like so. And then again, just take a pipe cleaner, wrap it around. This one I actually had to place it through the loop because I kind of folded the loop over and just tie from behind. So when it comes time to tie your bows, make sure you're doing it at least 3 or 4 times. You do not want these bows to fall apart, whether it be on your designs or if you just sell individual bows, because once that pipe cleaner becomes loose, that bow is no good. So that's how it looks. I think it turned out really pretty. Now we're going to design a bow with a thicker check. So this is a 2.5 inch as well as a 1.5 inch. And although these prints are the same, I do think working in the same ribbon within a bow, just different widths, adds a lot of depth. So this is going to look really cool in the end. What we're going to do is about 4 or 5 loops on each side. I think we ended up choosing 4 and come back in with the 1.5 inch on top of this. So this is just your standard traditional bow, and we've done lots of tutorials on these in the past. So we're just creating about 5.5 or so inch loops. You can do them bigger, you can do them smaller. And it's hard for me to give you exact sizes because it truly depends on the project you're working on. So the bigger your loops, the bigger the bow. So whenever designing something, always keep that in mind and kind of use your discretion when creating your bows. So once you come back in with your 4th loop on either side, Then what you can do is cut it off, and I'll show you that in just a second. But can we just admire how pretty this ribbon is? This is one of my favorite ribbons. It's not too showy, it's not too glitzy. I think it works beautifully. So just cut your ribbon off, leaving about 1/2 inch of an overhang. Then come back in with that 1.5 inch ribbon. I'm creating these loops a little bit smaller, that way they're not competing with the outside ring, because basically what I want this bow to look like is a bow within a bow. So coming back in with about 3.5, 4-inch loops, and we'll do about 6 on each side as well. And again, pinch, twist, create your next loop. These techniques have been timeless. They've been one of the oldest bow techniques out there, and for good reason. They look beautiful in every design. So at this point in time, while we're working in a few more loops, I just want to let you guys know that bow making is not that hard, and I know lots of you struggle with it, and that is what I'm here for. If you don't know how to make bows today, you might not tomorrow or the day after, but trust me, eventually it'll click, and you'll be really proud of yourself once you're able to make a bow. Practice makes perfect, and practice definitely helps for those of you struggling, and my biggest tip is just not to put as much thought into it as you may think. So coming back in with our pipe cleaner, we're going to twist that really secure. This bow is thicker than the others because we have a lot of loops on this. So twist it 3 or 4 times, and then what you can do is begin fluffing. So to fluff, pull those tails down, we work those in behind the bow, and we cut them different lengths as well. We're going to start on the outside, pulling those larger loops, spacing them evenly, and then work on the inside one. So I want to thank you all so much for watching this. Be sure to check out all of our social media handles and give this video a thumbs up. Bye everyone.